911 emergency.
I need help.
Okay, what kind of help?
I just killed my husband.
You what?
I fucking hit him in the head with a hammer.
Okay, where are you at?
I'm at 2921 Elmer Nelson Lane. Get here, he's so fucking, I don't know.
Okay, I need you to calm down so I can help you, okay? You hit him over the head?
Yes.
Is he conscious?
He's breathing hard.
Is he conscious? Are his eyes awake?
No!
Okay, don't yell at me, okay? What's your name?
Wendy Maldonado.
Okay, Wendy. Wendy,
Oh my God.
where's your hammer right now, sweetie?
In my hand.
Okay.
Oh, I just want my kids to be safe. I don't want my kids to be safe.
Just, Wendy, take a breath, okay? Just take a breath and stay with me. We're going to work through this and get you help, okay? Is your son's okay?
Yes,
You have 4 sons, did you say?
Yes.
Okay. Wendy, is he bleeding from the head?
His head is caved in.
Okay, you caved it in. Okay. Okay, all right. What is his name? I haven't even asked you what's your husband's name.
Aaron.
Okay, what happened? Did he try and hurt you or anything?
Every fucking day of my life.
Okay.
Domestic violence is a pattern of behavior used to establish power and control over another person through fear and intimidation, often including the threat or use of violence. Other terms for domestic violence include intimate partner violence, battering, relationship abuse, spousal abuse, or family violence. Intimate partner violence includes acts such as physical aggression, psychological abuse, forced intercourse, and other forms of sexual coercion, and various controlling behaviors such as isolating a person from family and friends or restricting access to information and assistance. Domestic violence and abuse can happen to anyone regardless of your gender, race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, income, or other factors. The first ever World Health Organization study on domestic violence reveals that intimate partner violence is the most common form of violence in women's lives, much more so than assault and rape by strangers or acquaintances. The study reports on the enormous toll physical and sexual violence by husband and partners has on the health and well-being of women around the world and the extent to which partner violence is still largely hidden. This study shows that women are more at risk from violence at home than in the street. The study also shows how important it is to shine a spotlight on domestic violence globally and treat it as a major public health issue.
Last night I heard the screaming, loud voices behind the wall. Another sleepless night for me, it won't do no good to call the police. Always come late if they come at all. Last night I heard the screaming, loud voices behind the wall. Another sleepless night for me, it won't do no good to call the police. Always come late if they come at all. And when they arrive, they say they can't interfere with domestic affairs between a man and his wife. And as they walk out the door, the tears well up in her eyes. Last night I heard the screaming, then a silence that chilled my soul. Prayed that I was dreaming when I saw the ambulance in the road, and the policeman said, I'm here to keep the peace. Will the crowd disperse? I think we all could use some sleep. Last night I heard the screaming, loud voices behind the wall. Another sleepless night for me, it won't do no good to call the police. Always come late if they come at all.
Biological factors in young and middle adulthood can be traced back to childhood. For example, a child who engaged in multiple fights, those patterns can be carried on into their young and middle adulthood into intimate partner relationships. Biological factors also include genetics studied by neuroscience. In a stressed rat experiment, the male offspring of those stressed rats showed an aggressive behavior towards females, just like their fathers had done. Testosterone or hormonal levels and neuroanatomical differences produce men's tendency to be violent against women.
Other negative factors include the abused person tends to feel uncontrolled anger about life, guilty feelings about leaving the abuser, being in denial or avoidance with passivity. The abused person may also feel emotionally or economically dependent on the abuser.
Social factors such as family situations, inadequate finances such as employment, even unplanned pregnancies influence domestic violence in young and middle adulthood as it increases tension, pressure, and stress. Environmental factors are included, for example, poverty or poor living situations. Also, witnessing or being abused as a child contributes to young and middle adulthood intimate partner violence. These stressors are expressed as anger, rage, and violence in domestic violence.
Domestic violence is an issue found all over the world. It's a problem that can affect both genders, people of all financial, ethnic, and racial backgrounds. Unfortunately, some people of certain circumstances and cultural backgrounds have been found to be more prone to be affected by domestic violence. An example I would like to focus on is immigrant women. Most immigrant women have their abusive partner as their only means of support. They lack alternative support networks such as extended families in their new country. Leaving the abusive partner for a safer environment may alternately mean losing not only his financial support and her possessions, but also the extended family or community that can provide her with the support needed to obtain work. If the victim is undocumented, then most times she faces a constant threat of deportation by her abuser. The abuser uses this situation to assert power and to control their spouse. Some barriers that keep most victims from reporting the abuse include family and community resistance. The victim's community has been known to shun them or to put pressure on the victim to remain in the marriage. Divorce is such a stigma in some communities that a woman may never be able to remarry within her community once she has left her abuser. The victim is often held responsible for the end of her marriage, and her family of origin may not accept her back because such an act may bring disgrace to the entire family. Another barrier is a fear of official institutions. Immigrant women may also be guarded to request help from an official institution based on experiences with similar institutions in their home country. Studies show that battered immigrant women fear of being reported to immigration authorities as their primary reason for remaining in an abusive relationship and therefore not seeking help in an official institution. Another barrier is inability to communicate in a common language. Language barriers make gaining access to information, resources, and services difficult. An example is that some immigrant women do not know or understand the provisions of protection orders. They also often are unaware that they may be eligible for child support. According to Rogers, ecological theory explains human development by describing aspects of the individual, the environment, and the interaction between the two. Ecological theory argues that people are actively involved in their environments and their own development, and that both development and environment are always changing. People are born with both negative and positive tendencies, and they are influenced equally by nature and nurture. Development then is influenced by the actions of the individual, occurrences within the individual's environment, and the interactions between the two.
Radical feminism argues that oppression and inequality are supported through male hierarchy and domination. A basic principle of radical feminism is that men construct reality for all of society. Not surprisingly, this reality includes the notion that men are superior, forceful, aggressive, and intellectual, whereas women are weak, emotional, and irrational. To challenge these stereotypes, radical feminism adopts the idea that dominant values should be reestablished to include the realities of women. The radical feminist theory deconstructs patriarchal hierarchies. It examines patriarchy as it exists in society and influences the experiences of people. This strategy challenges the power of and domination by men over women in all social institutions.
Domestic violence and abuse can happen to anyone, yet the problem is often overlooked, excused, or denied. This is especially true when the abuse is psychological rather than physical. Noticing and acknowledging the signs of an abusive relationship is the first step to ending it. No one should live in fear of the person they love. If you recognize yourself or someone you know in an abusive relationship, reach out. There is help available.